Hey everybody, my name is Scott and I want to welcome you out to my channel of how I do what I do. And today I'm working on a sprinkler valve that is leaking. I turned off the water last night and I played with it a little bit, and after playing with it I realized that it's not just the solenoid that's cracked that's giving me a problem. I thought it was because the solenoid was cracked. Sprinkler's not going off and on, it's leaking water. I'm going to pull it apart right now. I believe the diaphragm is just junk, so I'm going to replace it with a new solenoid and a new diaphragm, and then I'll write the date on it. That way in the future I'll know approximately how old it is. So let me show what I'm working on today. So basically this is what I'm working on today. It's a sprinkler box in the backyard, and water comes in through right here and it goes around to the manifold, and then I've got a valve here, here, and here. Well, if you look really closely, you can see the top part of this is all cracked and it's rusty and it's leaking through this valve. Now, I changed it out with a different solenoid about a week ago just to see if it would stop leaking. That didn't work. So I put it back together, see if I could get it to stop leaking. That didn't work. So now what I'm going to do is I actually have a brand new sprinkler valve, and I'm just going to take the guts out of the new one and I'm going to put it in this one. So let me show you what I got. So basically this is what I'm working with. For the most part it's the same valve as what's right there. The only difference is this one has an off and on right here where that one doesn't. Solenoid's in the same spot, but this bonnet, I can put this bonnet on that one, or I can just rob the parts out of this one along with the solenoid, put it on that one and fix my problem. That's one thing I do like about these particular valves. So these are what they call a Lawn Genie, and I've got these everywhere on my personal property as well as my business property. Now this one, the water is supplied to this valve through this side, then it goes out and it comes down here. Where this one, the water comes in the side and goes out that way. So the valve's a little bit different, but for the most part they work the same. So I'm going to go ahead and take this apart and show you how I do it. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to locate the wires. Now what you have here is you've got 3 valves that have, each one of these solenoids has 2 wires. So let's see, what do I got here? Some of these wires aren't even hooked up, so we're going to fix that. Like this one is not even hooked up. Crazy. So what you have is you have one common, where I'm using white for the common, and then I have 1 wire from each valve that comes into this. So that's one side of it. Then the other side will go to like a red wire, a black wire, and whatever other wire I want to have that corresponds with the way I've got it set up in my sprinkler clock for my to turn it off and on. So pretty simple. Something's been in here. Look at that, something's been in here chewing on my wires. Nah, they just kind of chewed up the insulation. I wonder. So anyways, since these are right here, go ahead and take these out. And you can tell by looking at all the rust, this thing the other day was filled up almost halfway. So you're going to take the wire nuts off. Pretty simple. If you can get them off. You might have to cut them off if it's all rusty. Usually I can get them off. There it goes. It's starting to come off. Man, guess what? I'm going to end up having to cut these off. Yeah, they just don't want, this one's coming. Yeah, look at all that rust and corrosion. So if ever you have a sprinkler that is not coming on, or the solenoid's not popping on, this could be why. So I'm going to go get a pair of wire cutters so I can cut this other side. To do this particular job, you're going to need some tools and some parts. So what you're going to need is a cordless screwdriver. If you don't have one, a Phillips screwdriver will work. You're also going to need a set of wire cutters, and then you're going to need some wire nuts. Now this assortment of wire nuts I recommend to have for all do-it-yourself jobs. It has 4 different sizes. Now the sizes for like a blue is number 16 wire. The orange is for number 14, the yellow is for number 12, and the red is for number 12. And the reason why the yellow and the red still say number 12 is sometimes you'll need to hook up 2 or 3 wires or 4 wires. You'll need a little bit bigger wire nut. So I recommend having something like this on hand, especially if you're going to be doing a lot of do-it-yourself projects. So with that, let's get on with this video. So I went ahead and got my wire cutters. So I'll just go ahead and cut this off, and I'll replace it with a brand new one. So I happen to know that the one on the end, I put in that valve, but I just have not used the valve for what I need to. So the only ones I have are the one up closest to me and the one in the middle. And they happen to be, this one's red and this one's the black wire. So we'll go ahead and pull this apart and I'll show you how I do that. Let's get all these wires out of the way. That way they're not messing with anybody and you guys can see what I'm doing. So I'm just using a cordless drill, put it in reverse, and there's 8 screws that are basically holding it down. Man, is it noisy this morning. I chose to do this project now because I thought that it wouldn't be as noisy at this time and I can work in the shade. Now I usually leave the screws in the holes, that way when I pull it out I don't lose anything. Now when you're pulling this apart, be very careful whether it be used or new, and you just got, it'll just come right up. Okay, so there's a little spring right here. Don't lose the spring because you do have to have the spring. This is what they call your diaphragm. Sometimes these will leak, but that's what the diaphragm looks like. This diaphragm actually looks to be in pretty good shape. I don't know, I'm still going to replace it. And then you've got this plastic piece right here. So you just got to make sure the plastic piece is in place. Now right down here, I'm going to try to bring the camera a little bit closer so I can show you what it looks like. Right there in that hole, there's a little black O-ring. If you lose that O-ring right here, this sucker is going to leak like crazy. So don't lose the O-ring. So if we take a closer look at the solenoid, it probably was leaking and not working properly because this right here has got a huge crack in it. Now if you just want to replace the solenoid in a sprinkler valve, that's all you're going to do is unscrew it. There's nothing fancy to it. You can kind of see where it's got a little bit of rust down there. And this one, yeah, this one just ain't working anymore. So I could just go to the store and just buy a new solenoid. The solenoid's about 10 to 15 bucks. The whole valve is about $25. I happen to have an abundant supply of valves because I'm always either A, doing maintenance at rental properties, or I'm doing repairs for other people. So usually I have all these on hand. This is what I had at the house today. So let's go like this. Let's see what the difference is between these two. I think the only difference is this one has a shutoff and this one does not. I'll bet you I could take this and put this piece over there on that. Let's see what it looks like when I take it all apart. So we'll set this aside, grab our drill again. And again, when you're doing this, you want to be careful not to let the screws, if you're doing it inside the box, don't let the screws come out, otherwise you'll lose them. Or they, you know, especially if you have a valve that was leaking, and the minute you open up the valve, all the water came out, kind of like mine did. Okay, there again, a brand new one sometimes is a little stiff. There it comes up. It's kind of sitting on the spring right now. I pull it up. Brand new. Yeah, I'm gonna put in a brand new what do you call it? Diaphragm. So pull up the diaphragm, and I'll use this new piece too. So I'm gonna scrap this piece. You know, I'm not gonna use this at all. No big deal. But I'm gonna take all the new pieces, and I'm gonna put all these new pieces in that. with your finger, just kind of rub it over the top. If there's any loose dirt, knock all that off. Then you're going to take your plastic piece. Your plastic piece is square at the bottom. It's round at the top. So you slide the plastic piece in there. It's not hard. Take your diaphragm. This piece always goes in first. Take your diaphragm, lay it in there flat. Make sure there's no debris on it. Okay, diaphragm's laid in there flat. Got a spring. Spring right in the middle. Now when you do the bottom part, this little piece right here where my thumb is, that's the piece that goes right here. And you have to have it lined up. If you don't have everything lined up, what'll happen is in these cracks right here, you can actually screw these in, and then all of a sudden it'll start leaking or it won't work right. So take your time with this. It's not hard. And just make sure you get it in there straight. So let me get up on top of it. It's easier to get it. And you've got this little pin right here in the center. Let me pull it apart again. That little piece actually goes through the diaphragm. So you can actually see it poking through the diaphragm as the diaphragm works. That keeps the diaphragm lined up. So I'll go ahead and put this together again. Put the spring in there. Take this. Just make sure you get it all lined up. And usually it'll go right into place. It's not like there's a bunch of guesswork to this. There it goes. Oh, I forgot to put in a screw. Make sure you put your drill in forward. And don't go crazy try to strip these out. Just get them tightened down first. A lot of these drills will have a torque setting. I suggest not putting this on really tight. What I'll do is get them all the way down, and then I'll grab my hand screwdriver and I'll make sure they're tight. Okay, got that. Get me my hand screwdriver and I'll just go all the way around and make sure they're tight. You don't want to over tighten them because you'll just break it and then it won't work. And you got to start over again. Okay, that's done. Next thing you're going to do is you take your solenoid. And your solenoid just screws down. There's no parts to it. It's just the solenoid. I'm going to screw that down. Whoop. Now I dropped it. Now I got mud on it. Now I got to get the mud off. That wasn't good. Come on. There it goes. Okay, that's done. Give me just a second. I'm going to get all my wire nuts and I'll show you how you wire this. I now have the valve done. So there's a valve right here. You can barely see it in the shot, but it's got some wires. They're a little bit nasty, so I'm going to go ahead and cut them off. Give me a little bit better connection, and then you strip them. You only need to strip, oh, maybe an inch, and just knock some of the knock the insulation off the wire. And this one, just uncurl this. I'm going to tilt the camera just a little bit. There we go. That way you can kind of see my hands and see what I'm doing. Hey everybody, look, no cuts. It's remarkable. I usually have cuts all over my hands. So what you're going to do is you're going to take one wire from each one of these. You're going to put them together like this. You're going to come over here. You're going to grab your wiring. You're going to find the white wire. Okay, there's the white wire. Got to strip that one too. So there's all three wires. Now you're going to put them together And you're going to spin the wire, you're going to spin them around just like that. Okay, once you got them like that, you can use a wire nut. That way it looks like that. Now, you got two connections. You got a black connection and you got a red connection. I went and looked in my sprinkler box to see how I had this thing wired. So how I have it wired is the one closest to me is actually wired with a red wire. That way when I make sure that when I turn it on, that's the station that comes on. So you can kind of see how I did that. Now you're going to come over here to the black one, and you find the black one right here. And then if I'm going to add any more to it, then I just keep adding. Now here's the cool part. Let me show you here in a second. I've got several different colors I can add. So I use white for the neutral common wire, and then I went red was my first one, black, and then my next one might be orange, and the one after that might be green. And that's where I would hook up these last two wires right here if I wanted to run this last what do you call it, station. I just haven't hooked that up. It's for a garden actually. So what we're going to do is, now that I have all this done, we're going to go turn on the valve for the water to make sure that I don't have water coming in here anymore. So what this is the water supply. Oh man, it's really tough to pull up. Come on, there we go. There's a valve down there, you can kind of see it. Grab onto that, and if it's X'd like that, if it's X marks the spot, so to speak, that means the water's not going there. So I know if I turn it, can't remember which way it turns, so that it looks like that. Now I have water to that spot. Now I'm back at the valve box, and I do not have any more leaks, which is awesome. This thing used to fill up with water almost all the way to the top. How do I know that the water's on? You can kind of see the water coming out of the hose over there. So that's how I know that it's working. So that is awesome. I am so happy. That's all it takes. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today to my channel of how I do what I do. I know it's been a while since I've posted anything on this channel. I've had a lot of homeowners send me messages and texts saying, hey, how come you don't post anymore? Well, I've been busy with another channel. If you want to see how to fix hot tubs and spas, I have another channel called Spa Man, and I show you everything there is to fixing hot tubs, how to get them up and running, electrical, fix leaks, start to finish. If there's something I haven't covered in those videos, send me a text and I'll see if I can do a video for you in the future. But this channel, I'm going to start doing videos more often of DIY repairs around the house as well as my shop. So with that, I'll catch you guys on the next video, and have a great day.